to Viewpoint, working with personalities, politicians, and perspectives. After last night's debate, I wonder why anybody in the world would look at any of these politicians that have on the horizon right today. Incredible. In any event, that's not my job to comment on that, but I just did, didn't I?
Well, you just can.
Okay.
Freedom of speech and all that, don't you know?
Instead of today's kudo, Mrs. Busby,
yes?
with your permission and by your leave, as they say in England, I'm going to have a public service announcement.
Oh, all right.
Last week, the old fella seemed bent on telling how old he is, went out of a drugstore here in town, CVS, and put his nice diamond willow cane next to a trash barrel while he loaded into his car. Promptly got in the car and drove off, left that cane there.
Uh-oh.
And I'm very upset about that. I have a cane, but that's not a problem. This was an heirloom. And so if anybody,
oh dear,
if anybody has any idea of where that cane went, 648-5510, Mr. Ash will be glad to relay the information. Or you may call me, please, at 737-8773 to retrieve a, not a lost cane, just stupid. I put it in the wrong place and drove off. Okay, let's get down to business.
I'm sorry you did that.
Yeah, well, I am too. Anyway, we have some nice young ladies who rolled out of the bed this morning early, stood in front of the mirror for 35 or 36 minutes, and they're right here to regale us with their stories about dogs and cats.
They have an important. What am I talking about?
Well, speaking of old
Are you
people.
hearing me right?
Speaking of old people. Do you want to take it from the top?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, that's a little deeper. That's better. Well, I called out here to Jim one day, too, because my friend had surgery, and I was staying with her, and I had to take Murphy, my wonder dog, with me because I couldn't leave him home by himself. And at 2 in the morning, he decided he'd like to go out and check out the air. So we were out there, and of course, it's a male. So he had to smell every blade of grass and piddle on most of them. And as I'm standing there, and I thought, well, I'll just excuse myself for a minute and use the bathroom. I came out, and he was gone. And she lives out by the park, and they said there was a bumper crop of coyotes at the park. And I thought, oh my gosh. I was just scared to death. And I called Jim and I said, I've lost Murphy. And he put it on the air that I was a neglectful dog owner. At 2 in the morning, I didn't figure there'd be much traffic or anything. But anyway, I was worried. And, you can't count on it being 2 in the morning and your dog will just be fine and just stay there, right? You can never count on anything because the communication between you and your pet is a little bad, at least at my house, let me tell you. So we've got 2 ladies here who, by George, know how to work it out. They do. Jane Whiteman is animal control here in the county of Logan. And with her is Cale, and she's animal rescue. Now, do you have your offices in the same edifice there?
No, we do not have an office or a building. We just have a van for transportation.
Okay.
So we go to animal control.
So you're animal rescue now?
Yes.
And so you kind of piggyback on them a little bit.
Red light with flashing lights?
Not exactly.
Not that kind of rescue. Okay, all right.
Yeah, we go out to help animal control with the animals that haven't been adopted or reclaimed. And then we gather information and take some pictures and then do some networking on trying to get them out of there.
I have a friend who lives in whatever state it is out west who does that too. Katie, her mom was my good friend, Katie McCullough, and tis a noble thing you do.
There's quite a few of us all over. It's kind of crazy how we all kind of meet up and then swap animals from cars to get them to safety.
No.
Now that's unpaid. That's just
Correct. Yeah, it's all volunteer.
That's just by the goodness of your heart.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's not a paid position. That's
How long have you been doing that?
Over
Thank
10
you,
years,
girls.
about 15, well, 13 or 14.
really.
That
Yep.
well, God love you, and I'm
Thanks.
sure He does.
Yeah.
You know.
We actually formed the Logan County Animal Rescue in '09, so it's been about 10 years, but I've been sticking my nose out longer than that.
Now, well, we better introduce our other guest here. She's going to wonder why she came. Jane Whiteman is animal control.
Right.
Now, that's a paid position. You're a county employee, is that right?
Yes.
And if there's a dog in my neighborhood who doesn't seem to have anybody, I could call there and you'd come and catch him somehow.
Yep, we're the
Somehow.
department. Somehow.
Somehow. I bet you'd get into somehow business
Okay,
once in a
girls,
while.
let's get on to a serious question here. You can come in.
I've
with,
been excused, you notice.
You can come in with some unusual, unruly dogs.
Oh, yes.
Some of which are rather big, and so there's a danger factor.
I would rather the big ones.
Really?
It's those little ones you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
I've never been bit by a big one.
Because the little ones
Little
are
snappy
jittery
ones.
nervous?
They're quick and they're I mean big ones bite. Don't get me wrong, they do. But yeah, I think this is my 20th year, not at animal control, but doing animal care.
Uh-huh.
And I've been bit by 2 little min pins.
And no big dogs. Now, Jim has big and little, don't you? Yeah, he's
Jim's going to
non-discriminatory.
be 118 because he walks miles with his dogs. I want to tell you, he's a great dog owner because he takes care of his dogs.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And
He really does.
for the neighbors as well. What is the procedure now? Let's say you pick up a dog off the street, a stray. So take it from there.
So legally, by state statute, we have a 3-day hold on a animal that we do not know who the owner is and is not microchipped. So those animals have to be held with us for 3 days. After those 3 days, they are able to leave with Kelly, or they could be adopted, however, with a microchip, or if we have a knowledge of an owner, they have to stay with us for 7 days. We got to we try to contact those owners for them to come reclaim.
Do you get calls from people sometimes who say Bowser ran away? Do you have a dog out there that looks thus and so?
We try to keep a list, and we have a lot more calls on cats than dogs, but we try to keep a call, so, a list so we can call. Lots of times a dog's going to come to an owner. Now there are cases where dogs run constantly. It's a repetitive problem. So those dogs usually get to come with us so we can, try to work out keeping the dogs confined.
They're the vagrants of the dog population, huh?
648-5510 is the number to call if you ladies have any questions. These ladies, they're performing a real service for all of us. Thank goodness we have the facilities we have here, and they're quite decent for the dogs. The dogs pay regularly, I understand, to stay there, but it's a very, very nice facility, and they're doing a lot of good things. People need a pet, and by the way, you almost always have pets for adoption. Almost.
Yes.
So you need to go out there and talk with the folks out there at what's that address on Logan Street?
1517.
No, that's
1517 North Kickapoo.
North Kickapoo.
Yeah. And we have pets. She helps remove. We also, Humane Society is in town also. They always have animals, and they pull from us too. So we take animals over there. Once they've sat in our building, they'll take them also. And
You see, there's a difference in my mind. I did not realize until this morning that our facility out there, where we keep our dogs and adopt our dogs, is not the Humane Society per se. They're two different organizations.
Right,
They're working with one another and in conjunction with one another.
Right. Humane Society is another, they're a non-profit. Nobody's paid there either. Everybody is volunteer.
All volunteers. That's amazing.
So their building over there is, we are a low kill. So those two places try to pull from us. So we don't get overpopulated and don't have to do that.
Now, you're what's called a no-kill shelter, isn't that right?
We're a low kill.
Low kill.
How do you define that difference when the day comes?
You go to a bigger community and they're high kill. I mean, they're euthanizing animals at 3 days. When your time is up, a lot of those animals get euthanized. We have had dogs up to 2 years almost.
Oh, is that right?
And by the way, that's not inexpensive to feed and care for a dog for 2
No,
years.
and we have places that donate food, so that all helps. But if an animal, if I feel like it's adoptable, I will keep them, because I'm like, there is a person that will be a right match. It's just sometimes it takes
2 years.
an extended amount of time. Yes, which, and I know the people automatically think, oh, they're animal control, how awful. Okay, I don't like the cage issue any more than anyone else, but they get all the food they can eat. They're warm, they're safe, they're being cared for in a safe manner. They're not running around, we don't want anybody hitting them or them running out in the country, and just people let them go in the country and then
They're gone.
right.
Yeah. But some people want a pet, cat or dog, but then when they get it, they forget that this is a big responsibility.
Very.
It
We have a
really
big
is.
responsibility too, my dear.
Oh, here he goes.
And it's called sponsorship. And we have to acknowledge our sponsors. That is a huge responsibility, because without them, we've lost our job.
We're unemployed.
Right ahead, Jim. Right back live in the studio here this morning, WLCN 96.3. I think this is called Viewpoint, is it not?
Already.
All right, we have two very nice young ladies representing the dogs and the cats of the community. They need representation too, So we appreciate their taking their time this morning. So Judy, reintroduce those young ladies, and we'll move right along here with the next questions you might have.
Yes.
Or you may not have one. Well, I'll come up with one.
Then we'll just sit and smile at one another, like Jim does. Jane Whiteman, Animal Control, Logan County, employee. Kelly Cale, Logan County Animal Rescue, unemployed.
Volunteer.
She just does it because she's a good egg, don't you?
Well, let me tell you, that takes a special calling, young lady.
Oh, yes.
It really does. I mean, you as a friend of mine used to, he could never say the word heart. Heart. He'd say heart. You got your heart in it. Obviously so. Have you had any unusual episodes in the process of trying to rescue a reticulated python or something like that?
Oh, heavens no. Stick with the furry kind.
We had a snake yesterday.
Ooh, did you?
I mean, which normally we only deal with dogs and cats, but
Yes.
there was a poisonous snake in town, and school's gonna be getting out, and so
Sure.
one of my guys, he's comfortable with snakes, so he went out and rescued it and took it somewhere else. And
My kids used to be so comfortable with them. I came home from work one day. They had two in the kitchen, and they'd hold them by their heads and say, "On your marks, get set, go." And they'd let go of them and see who could slither across the kitchen more quickly. I made them not keep them.
She's been known to have a warped family.
But I'm sure that there are poisonous snakes and that people have as pets. But now you don't have to deal with that because they wouldn't be even technically an animal.
well, I mean, we have in situations where they've been left in a home.
Is
So
that
we
right?
have
The people like move and leave it, you mean?
Right.
We had a turtle not too long ago.
we just
Somebody
had a
left.
turtle. Which the pet store actually took it for us and got him all cleaned up and got him a home. And then we have had snakes. A few years ago, probably 5 or 6, we had a over 6-foot ball python. We've had birds and
Rabbits,
and it's not
pigs.
what we
People have abandoned?
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll take them and try to make sure we find it. Brenda Levy does, she is a rehab in town. So she is actually licensed.
Like an animal rehab?
Right, so she'll
Is
take,
that right?
she'll take baby rabbits, and she'll take possums, and she knows places then that'll take bird of prey, deer, stuff like that. She has other, rehabbers that do that.
Is that right? And is this a volunteer job too?
Hers is completely volunteer too, yes. Now she is licensed in this. Where a lot of people say, I'll take that animal and rehab it, she knows what she's
knows how to
doing
do
to do
that,
it. Yeah.
Now, when you go out on a call for a stray dog to run around the neighborhood, what precautions do you take?
Try not to get bit.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
That's kind of a lofty goal, though.
So, we have a new assistant coming on, and I was talking the other day about, there's no way of training you how to catch a dog, because all of us catch a dog different. We use rabies poles. Some people are more comfortable with that. It's a 6-foot pole that
With a
you
snare
catch.
on it.
I don't like using them. I use leashes. It's
Yeah,
more
but then
dangerous.
you have to get up close and
I
personal.
do.
Yeah.
But it's less
By that time, the
intimidating.
dogs-
less stressful for the animal.
Are you bitten a lot?
I have not been, and I don't think in the last 5 or 6 years, I don't think we've really. I think we've had a cat bite or two, but which they're way worse than dog bites.
That's why I'm very careful around Mabel here. I
Yes.
don't want her to bite me.
Now, why is that worse?
The bacteria in their mouth is very, very dangerous. So one poke, my assistant a couple years ago just got a poke, and we religiously talk about cleaning. You gotta make it bleed and clean. And he called me a weekend, and he's like, I'm on my way to St. John's, and they hospitalized him for 2 to 3 days, and he had to have IVs, and it can kill you, the bacteria in their mouth.
Is that right?
So even just a poke from their mouth, you need to really scrub it really well and get it clean.
Cats are less apt to bite than dogs, though? Not so much, huh?
No,
that right?
I'm more cautious of the cats than the dogs.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You don't hear about cat bites the way you do dog bites.
Dog bites can do more damage
Physically,
physically.
they'll tear flesh.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, that's one of the big things we do is if you get bit, you go to the hospital. The hospital reports it to animal control and the health department. Health department takes care of you as far as do you need rabies shots, and I take care of the dog or cats.
Hopefully.
Is it current on rabies? If it's not, they have to be quarantined with us or a vet.
And for how long does
10 days.
10
And then they go back home. We don't keep them. We don't want to keep them. We want them to go back home.
Uh-huh. And that's whether a kid was teasing the dog with a stick or it just...
Actually, a few years ago, I had a gentleman broke into someone's house, and he got bit by the dogs that live there.
Yeah.
Well, they had cameras, and we knew who we were looking for when he went to the hospital to get treated. Those dogs had to come to quarantine with me because they were not current on rabies. Even though they were doing their job in their home, if they had been current, they would have just stayed home, but they had to come stay 10 days because they bit.
Oofta. And you might think that for the robber's part, I'm glad he got bit. That's not very Christian, is it?
Now, help me out again, please, on the physical location of the Humane Society. Is that on North Kickapoo there?
No, so Humane Society is out on Old 66, and she's Animal Rescue.
We just have a van. We don't have a building
You do
because we
not have an
work
office.
with animal
They
control.
just call you.
She's come
Yep.
some mornings and removed 20 animals out of the building all in one morning. She'll load them all. We do some blood work. She has them all lined up, and she has places then that she meets other people to deliver.
Do you take pictures around to
Yes.
show people then? Is that how you peddle
Everything's
them?
on the internet,
Document
yes.
stuff.
Oh,
The
internet,
no-kill
of course.
shelters, most of them are up in the Chicago area, but we have dealt with Missouri and Indiana too.
Now, when you go to Chicago, are there people like you up there?
Yes.
And you can take
Yes.
the pet to their house and then they'll find the...
They have a facility, a no-kill shelter. Yep.
Uh-huh.
When I first started out, like 10 years ago, we went to Chicago, we went to several different places. All day Saturday, we might be 10 or 12 hours in Chicago
Sure.
running animals to different facilities that we knew had room for them. Now we're very fortunate because most of the time I just go to Champaign. And then the Chicago, they have one person from Chicago that comes down to meet in Champaign. And then myself from Logan County and other people. I meet with Wabash and Lawrence and Olney. All of those other counties also meet in Champaign. And then we pay what they call a crate fee for each animal to go in a crate for this guy to pick up and take to Chicago, that we don't have to drive that.
And the money that goes for the crate fee comes from...
Well, hopefully donations from the public. We do a lot of fundraising, and we have a Facebook page and a website, and we're on PayPal, and we've got...
She pays for a lot out of her pocket.
Yeah, I'm sure
because
that's
I'm
true.
sure
we have to
that's
keep
correct.
the van running. That's our
Well, yeah.
biggest, gas and the medical that we have to have done. The rescues, the no-kill shelters are asking for more and more. The cats and dogs have to be tested. Some of them have to have shots. Once in a while, they have to be, fixed or, other medical things if need be.
I'll bet no one in Logan County knew this service existed.
Yeah.
That's kind of under the radar.
We're very small, but just this year we've done over 200 just this year, and the year's not over yet. So that's pretty big because there's only about maybe 7 to 10 of us in the group. And so, the more we get the word out, which is grateful for you guys to invite us to come to let more people know what is going on. So
That's a ghost. That's a ghost operation, in my judgment. I didn't realize. The only thing I ever thought about is where we are there on the highway, where our
Humane Society on 66.
Humane Society office was
Yep.
so nice, and they do such a good job out there.
Yep.
And do you have a lot of interest in adopting animals out there? Not as much as you'd like.
Yeah, not really.
we need a lot more.
There's always a process of a lot of these animals are literally complete strays, so we have no information.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do have a large dog that is any way that we question their behavior, we want them to go to a home, but lots of times we will not let them go with other animals or children, so that limits, and it's for the safety. I don't want someone calling me going, you adopted me this dog and it hurt my child.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always that ever-present danger.
Right. There are some people who say I'm responsible. I'll make sure we do, if we feel that they're trusted that way, if we can call vets and everybody and say, have they had past vets and kept their animals current on rabies, and, how do you think they are to take an animal that we're questionable about?
Now, you have dogs that obviously, animals they become sick or come to your place sick. Do you interact with our local veterinarians on a round-robin basis? How does that work?
So we have a veterinarian that he is not contracted with the county, but he volunteers his services at a great discount. And he
Bless his heart.
he does a lot of stuff that a lot of vets don't want to be associated with being connected to an animal control facility because it's just not always pleasant. But I do have someone, and he's been doing it for years with us, and he comes over and I'm like, I got sick cats, I need to medicate, and he'll at the cheapest way possible help me do things. We've had parvo animals. I used to assist at a veterinary office, and so if I call and be like, I have a dog that has parvo, may I get this stuff to try to treat it, and he'll assist and help me in that kind of stuff, because we don't really do a whole lot of medical at animal control. So I just do
Well,
it.
you can't probably afford to, can you?
No.
No,
So-
but Jane's pretty good. We've had dogs been hit by cars, and she hooks up IVs and gets them medical attention as soon as she can.
She's almost a doctor.
She is.
Goodness. Let's talk a little bit about licensure. Is that your responsibility?
Getting licensed with your rabies tag? Yes. So in Logan County, all those vets have the tags from us. They're given to them at the first of the year. So when they give your dog the shot, you pay them for the tag, they give you the tag, and then they send that back to us at the end of the month. So you're registered. We have your information, we have your tag information, and it all goes into our system. Animals outside of Logan, vets outside of Logan County, animals that live in Logan County and get vaccinated, those vets send us a copy, and then then those people will come in person or by mail and just pay for their tag, and we send it back or give it to them.
Do you
So-
need more volunteers out there where we keep our dogs and cats?
At our building, I say it's fairly good. I mean, cleaning wise, we could always use extra help. I'm very
That's
cautious.
a job nobody wants.
Yeah.
And people want to volunteer. So Humane Society, their animals are all vaccinated. So when you go volunteer there, if you get bit, their animals are vaccinated. They're already been covered. We're not worried about rabies. My facility, unfortunately, since we don't do medical until they're adopted, we don't do that. So they're not vaccinated. So when a volunteer comes in, like I'll have kids come in and I have to turn them away, because if this cat or dog bites this child, it may take the life of this animal.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put the animal in that situation or a child in that situation. So people do come out and volunteer, but it's usually cleaning purposes, which is not really the fun part of the job.
Yeah.
What are the most adoptable, the little rugrats or the more robust dogs like the Labradors? Or
Oh, the little ones,
the little rugrats. Yeah, because they're cute, so to speak.
definitely.
Yeah. The ladies usually have the say in the household of what's going to happen there, so.
That's where she's such a great help, is because cats and dogs have to be 4 months of age before we fix them. So that's considerably getting older for an animal. So she removes 90% of those animals, because by the time they're 4 months of age, people don't want them. They want little tiny babies. And since I can't give them a baby at 10 weeks old, she gets them moved to, and they have to go to a no-kill once they leave us. She would never take them to a same facility as mine. And so that's where she comes in, and she takes out all those babies and stuff and gets them. APL in Springfield, they take some of ours also. Like I said, Humane Society. So there's a lot of outlets.
That's the Animal Protective League, is that what
Yes,
that is?
yeah.
And
What's
so,
your average occupancy out there about?
Cats are usually 50, 60. And I mean, they can run up to 100 or more, and we've had low times. Dogs we can hold without extra kennels, 20. I think, yeah, 20.
Well, I think our intakes are over 500 right now for
Yeah.
the year, so.
Yeah, right now, actually, I think we just hit I think we're a little over 600
600.
for the year so far, animals.
Do you give people a pep talk about responsibility when they adopt?
Yes, I try to.
Do you?
Yes.
Well, that's a good idea. Do you ever let someone adopt a dog that isn't spayed or neutered?
No. No, they are required to be fixed, rabies, and microchip to leave our building. So, and then we offer at a discount that they can get heartworm checked or distemper shots or whatever.
now the adoptive father and or mother, as the case may be, they have to pay a fee.
Yes, dogs are
Fair
120,
enough.
cats are 85.
Dogs are 120? I don't think that's a bad price at all.
I mean, if you go get a spay or neuter, you're looking
Yeah.
quite a bit more just for the surgery, not including whatever goes with it.
And those dogs are no better, that go for $300 or $400 they're no better than the nice dogs you're going to get out of where you are.
Absolutely.
And we do get purebreds also. I mean, some people have to downsize or they have physical problems, so we don't always just get mixed breeds. A lot of times we get, purebred animals that need a home also. So you don't have to pay a breeder.
Is the purebred more apt than the kind of dogs I've always had to be a little testy, high-strung, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. The
I
girls
think
are shaking their head no.
If you get to know breeds, you can almost, usually boxers are a little bit more, they got a lot of energy and they're happy and they're a little more high-strung, and your shepherds are working dogs. I mean, people bring in these dogs and expect them to, why won't they just lay there? They're chewing up my furniture. It is in their DNA to be a working dog. They want to catch.
Well, they are bred for that.
Yes.
Well, I want to put in a good word for pit bulls at this point in time because I have personal relationship with one. My grandson got a pit bull.
Great.
Got a little money for it, too. And that is the nicest dog I've seen in a long time. That dog has got a great disposition. The pit bulls have a bad reputation because of what people have done to them.
Yes.
Bred them to fight and so forth, and so therefore they have that nasty reputation. This is as sweet a dog as you ever want to see.
I had one come back in and visit yesterday that I got adopted a year ago, and she is just chunky now and happy, and she just smile. And we just adopted one out last week. I think she was a boxer pit mix, and she's just a doll. She went to a home with a little boy, and you don't always get to do that. You don't get to see that, so it's super nice that. And I do not discriminate against their breed. Probably a little bit more cautious sometimes with certain breeds, and it's just not pits. But you got to be that way,
Well, if you're going to work there day in and day out, you have to be on your toes all the time.
Either one of you have an incident that you can think of that was unusual as you went about your daily activities?
Surely they have, both of them.
Constantly, but I can't. We do, off that, not directly with it, we do remove bats in sleeping quarters. So that's it's not my favorite thing. I do not like bats. They are flying mice or something, I don't know. But my boys are very good. My guys that work there are very good at coming in, and if you wake up and there's a bat flying around your room, you would call non-emergency dispatch, and they will call us, and we'll come out and try our best to remove it. I can't promise we got to find it, and they like to hide.
I just called Gene.
And we don't want people messing with them. We don't want your cat or your dog to catch them because they do carry rabies.
They can be rabid.
They are one of the highest carriers.
Yeah.
We want them to go back outside to do what they're supposed to do.
Well, why are they so notorious for rabies?
I don't know.
I mean,
It's starting to strain somewhere, and it
do
just
they have a
magnified.
dispensary somewhere where they, at birth, give them rabies?
I think some of them probably are born with it. I mean, between your bats, your raccoons, and your skunks would be your highest carriers. So people take them for pets when they're babies, and it's just such a scary idea because I had a gentleman a couple of years ago, he said, I just found this raccoon on my porch and it bit me. Well, it had you could tell it had a collar on. Unfortunately, I had to have that raccoon tested for rabies, and so he lost his life because this man decided to take this baby raccoon and make it a pet. And they're
wild
for that.
animals.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be a pet. No, they're supposed to live in the wild.
Yeah.
Now we might talk about esoteric residents out there. Have you many experiences with people who have snakes that suddenly decide they don't want any? Walk off and leave them, or what?
I think last summer the police might have gotten called. We didn't get called on that one. I don't get a lot of calls on those, but I have heard through the grapevine that we had a big, you could tell it was a domestic snake that someone had let loose.
Yeah, you're not going to find many wild snakes like that around here.
But we're not, the weather around here is only okay for certain types of snakes. Those special snakes are not going to survive.
That's about where I'd bail out.
Snakes, you don't?
I might try to help with any other kind of animal, but I'd probably bail out on that.
You mean
Forget-
if you'd come home from work and the boys were having snake races in the kitchen, you wouldn't have been happy?
No, probably not.
Boy, you're hard to please.
I don't do spiders. I'll do the snakes.
The hours out at, what's again, that address again where we go adopt our animals?
Animal control is
Animal control.
10:30 to 4:30.
Okay.
And that's Monday through Friday and until noon on Saturdays, 9 to noon.
And how many employees do you have there?
Me and an assistant, and then three of my part-time officers.
Uh-huh. And if you call the non-emergency police number, one of your guys will come and get a dog that seems to be homeless.
Yes. Yep. They're on call 24 hours, or whoever's on call that night is on call for 24 hours. Yes.
I see.
Now, cleanliness is a it's a real, it's not necessarily a problem, but it's a big part of your day out there. When you're working with that many animals, and you have quite a few in there,
Yes.
that becomes an issue.
Yes.
So you have to have somebody to do that.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
usually
they do a
about-
great job. They come in and I have one female, and she is usually with the cats, and she knows how to get through them, and make sure they're all clean and who's sick and who do we need to look at, and then the guys, one of them definitely does dogs, and then the other one alternates back and forth, and they get the building all cleaned up. And according to, if we have 100 cats, we're going to get the animals clean, and the floors may not be clean. Unfortunately, we have to take care of
There
them
are
and-
trade-offs in life,
Right.
aren't there?
Right.
Now, Kelly, if you're off and you can't be there, can't be on duty 24/7, you might want to go to Burtonview for the weekend or something like that.
That's right.
Or Beechton or Broadwell. Somebody take your place to fill your
I have a
shoes?
few that work with me, that help me out on Saturday mornings, or if we need to get out sooner to gather some information. So yeah, there's a few of us that go out more regularly than others. Depends on everybody's work schedule and
So
stuff
you're
like
just
that.
out quietly during the day going about your business. Nobody knows that that's what you're doing.
Yeah, well, we're kind of little, so.
But you're doing a really important job.
Yes, you are.
If
Thank
we
you.
didn't,
We-
if we didn't
we
have
try.
facilities like that, all these animals running loose in the community, that'd be a really
Right.
nasty thing.
It's very important to stress the spade and neuter. Definitely need to get animals, cats, dogs, everything, spayed and neuter, so that we can minimize the running at large. And if they do get caught running at large, it's nice to have a current rabies shot, because then they can come in and talk to Jane and pay their fines if they have, and then go right home. If not, then they have to stay at animal control until they get an appointment for a rabies shot. And also, the microchips are important. If we get the dog in running at large and we can scan that microchip reader and it comes up with your name and number, you get a call right away, and then you can come pick up your animal. Otherwise, you have to call and come out and make sure it's your animal, and, So it is nice if you keep things current, especially the rabies and the microchip. Get it registered so that your animal can come home.
Now, where do you get, let's talk about this microchip business. Of course, I've heard of it. I've never had a microchip in any dog we've had.
I think it's a law now to...
Yeah, when it comes out of an animal control facility or an adoption facility, they will have one.
Yeah.
And you can get one from your vet, too.
Yep.
Where do they insert that on these little boogers?
Right between the shoulder
Behind
blades.
or in the shoulder area?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And what is an average fee for a microchip?
So I will do them for anybody for $25, and I'll register them.
It's not a big deal. I mean, when you got a pet, that's your responsibility.
Correct.
And you got to buy the food, you got to buy the vet services, there are just things that are attendant
Yeah.
It's
to
kind of a
that.
smart aleck remark, but there ought to be some way we could microchip some humans.
Well,
It'll come someday.
That's not going to go very far as conversation is concerned, but and the same
Kelly,
goes.
see if you can't do something about getting volunteers and
The same would go for spaying and neutering too.
by the by.
Girls, if you had one wish you could, in your respective positions, what would you like to have that would be helpful to you?
More responsible pet owners.
There's a direct answer.
How in the
Definitely.
heck are you?
Second
Nicely done. Nicely done. That's a very direct and very responsible answer to that.
Yeah.
Do you get animals that have been mistreated?
Oh, yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or neglected, abused, correct?
It's awfully difficult for me to get through my thick head how people can be
Yeah,
mistreat animals.
or children.
I think a lot
Yes.
of
Or
people
children.
don't have the concept that they feel, they feel the pain when you're hitting them or chaining them up outside in the cold. They're
Yeah.
cold too, they're hot too. They can withstand more cold than we can. Their body temperature is higher. So this weather, a lot of them thinks this feels great. Their normal temp is 102. So they feel like, this is, but our house cats, they like to sit on the warmth, and even though their temperature is higher, but they certainly still feel it,
That you are looking at a stereotypical cat. She's very independent. She's not much of a lover except where Jim is concerned. The rest of us, she ignores beautifully.
They pick their
But she's a
people.
good cat. Excuse me, please. Jane Whiteman and Kelly Cale, we appreciate your being with us this morning, taking your time out of a busy day. Obviously, you both have busy schedules. Know a little bit more about the dogs and the cats and animal control here in Logan County. We're lucky to have these facilities here. Communities such as this size and so forth, that do not have the availability of people doing what you do, they're the poorer for it, certainly. So we thank you very much for ladies.